It engages your local audience. So it amplifies your local brand awareness and it drives website traffic like we talked about and creates a local community. You want to geotag all your posts, ensure content appears in a location-based type search. Because again, I think AI and Google for that matter is doing that. And again, understand what Google is. It's a search engine, I know that. But really at the end of the day, it's an AI. And it's an AI that really all the other AIs are pulling from. Hey, welcome to today's episode. This is the 9th podcast in a 12 podcast series on how to jumpstart your SEO for local SEO. And today's episode is really going to be talking about social media and how it can supercharge or affect your local SEO. So there's a couple of things I just want you to keep a context on. Social media doesn't directly affect your ranking. What it does is it indirectly affects it through traffic. So in other words, if you have a really good social media post, you redirect it to your website, you're going to create traffic. Google's going to see that and it's going to give it some boost. And as we talk about this, I want you to keep this in perspective as it relates to local SEO. If you had to weigh this with a percentage of everything you're going to work on, this resides in the last, let's say, 5 to 10% of all your efforts. So in other words, there's other things that you could be working on that are going to move the needle more effectively. In the social piece, depending on what it is you're doing, is really only about 5%, maybe 10% of the equation. And all that being said, it does take up a fair amount of effort to pull this off. So you got to be careful. I don't know if that makes sense. But this is the part, if you're using an agency, they can work with you a little bit, but they're not going to do this for you. This is the part that you're going to have to do. And it's probably going to require anywhere from an hour to 10 hours of your time a month. So you have to weigh that with everything else that you're doing. Again, it helps a little bit, but it isn't anything to like, this isn't your first priority, so to speak. Now, all that being said, with AI search being a little bit more, becoming more and more involved, right, in that people are finding you through AI search, it relies heavily on social and Reddit type post. So keep all that in mind. Again, I wouldn't lose sleep over not ranking on AI right now. Excuse me, but it is a goal that you're going to want to work towards in the days to come. So you need to have a strategy for that. This can be part of that strategy along with some technical schema. Okay, so to, again, give you some context on social. What's the lifespan of a social media post? And, again, how effective is all this? So a tweet the life of a tweet is effectively 18 minutes for most of us. Instagram, LinkedIn is just a little bit longer, depending on the number of followers. Facebook, 75% of the engagement lasts for about 5 hours. And now YouTube, now this is interesting. Most people look at YouTube as a social. It's technically not. It's a search engine. Okay. The beauty of YouTube, if you're going to put effort in anything, in my opinion, would be in YouTube because it is out there and it doesn't really go away, so to speak. And it can be repurposed. It has a lot of good attributes. So that just gives you some context on, how much effort you should put into social. I know everybody is on social, obviously, but it's just for local SEO or local business, you got to be careful on that. Now, I would throw out the caveat, depending on what you do, which one of these socials you pick. So if you're, a hair salon or a beauty salon, things like Instagram and Pinterest are going to be more effective for you. They're all going to be effective, but let's say you're an auto mechanic and you're trying to explain to people why they need to have their transmission drained and refilled and everything else that goes with that. Not sure Instagram's going to work for you there. That's going to be more of I think a Facebook or even possibly a YouTube piece that you can repurpose. What we're going to cover next is why would you do social? I'm just going to go over some quick highlights again. And then as we get through this, what I'm going to do is jump into Google Business Profile. And this is something you really want to stick around for, or even skip ahead if you want to get to it. But it's really showing you how Google Profile is really set up to receive and accept most of those socials again, this just tells you the credibility of what social is to the search piece. Again, this is one of these things you're going to be one of the last steps you do once you get all the other fundamental on-page SEO stuff done in interlinking and backlinks and everything else. This is towards the tail end of what your efforts are. If you're going to put 6 months into this, this is around that 6th month that you're starting to really jump on this right away and work on it. So what does socials do? It engages your local audience. So it amplifies your local brand awareness, and it drives website traffic like we talked about, and creates a local community. You want to geotag all your posts, ensure content appears in a location-based type search. Because again, I think AI and Google, for that matter, is doing that. And again, understand what Google is. It's a search engine. I know that. But really, at the end of the day, it's an AI. And it's an AI that really all the other AIs are pulling from. So it's kind of the same game, just a different name, so to speak. Use local hashtags that connects your brand into local trending topics. Share location-based content, like highlighting events and landmarks that are occurring in your area. And then obviously you want to encourage reviews and check-ins within your socials. And then this is probably the most important thing to remember. Again, social posting has the life of a fruit fly in a lot of cases. It might have a pop, it might create some following, and then it's gone. So you're going to want to embed those posts within your blog or a blog page that gives it a little more life. It gives it a second life, if you will. So it's really important to do that. And then within your socials, you want to cross-link, obviously. And then in doing all, this is the one place that everybody gets it wrong, and it's your NAP, your name, address, phone number. That has to be perfect across all those profiles, because Google, if it doesn't match, Google discounts it and throws it out. So you want to get that. That's one of like the primary things you want to get right as you do all this. Let's talk a little bit about a kind of a controversial piece, and that's Reddit. So currently, Google Business Profile doesn't really allow you to link to it, but there's some workarounds. Now, I haven't tried this. This is just kind of the scuttlebutt that's out there right now. So basically, you can mention a Reddit profile in your business description, let's say within your GBP, or you could create a GBP post that says, hey, this is our Reddit profile. And the only reason I bring that up is, again, in the future, AI is giving a lot of credit. They're pulling a lot of information for Reddit for whatever reason. At least Gemini is. Now, Gemini isn't the greatest large language model right now, but this is Google's large language model, which I think they're trying to curate and make different from everybody else's, and trying to make it as accurate as they can. So with that, I think they're taking their time in doing that. Okay, so let's touch on a few other things. So we're going to jump to how to set this up in your Google Business Profile. So what you want to do is you want to go to your Google Business Profile, and you want to go to edit profile here. And then you go to contact, and then you scroll down to contact you'll see the social profiles. So currently we have 4 of these set up. We could probably do more. We could probably do TikTok, would be a good one for us given the age. In this case, it's a phone repair company. So most people are going to be in that group, that TikTok group, that we could be posting on that, just showing a quick repair or showing some cool technical aspect of what it is that we do. Again, driving more of that engagement and traffic back to the site. So what you'll be given is, if you click on this, you'll be given all these different links, and then you can add a social profile. Now, they don't necessarily, they may give you some more. So you can see there's 3 more that they add. And that's about it, I guess. It's these 7: Pinterest, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And again, YouTube is not a social. It's a It's another search engine, which that to me, depending on what you're doing, that I would spend of all these, I would spend the most amount of time there. But every business is different. So if you're a very visual business, like a beauty salon or a nail salon, or we have a client that does picture framing for art and boxes. So in other words, if you're an athlete or ex-military and you want your military history in a picture box, she does beautiful work there. And that's something very visual, and that's something you want to get out on a social and possibly even on YouTube, showing that process to get more exposure. But anyway, this is here. You'll get this, your piece here, and this is your address that goes to your Facebook profile or YouTube profile or whatever it might be. And then within that profile, you want to, again, make sure your NAP is correct. So name, address, phone number, everything is correct throughout. All that is hugely important. So pretty straightforward on how to do that through your Google business profile. The website itself, let me just pause here a second. So you want to make sure, obviously, your socials are embedded in your website. That's usually done in the footer or header. Some people actually do it in 3 different places. So you'll have an alt descriptor. So if you, let's say, click on or hover over, So if you hover over Facebook, you can see down here in the lower left corner, it has the alt descriptor and then Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and so on. So, but you want to make sure, obviously, those get embedded in there as well. So that's really about it. It's pretty straightforward. I would, again, make sure everything else is taken care of. And as as we go through these points, as we get towards the end of the series, I think we have 3 more series that or 3 more episodes that we're going to cover in this. These are probably lesser important issues that we're covering for now. And then the other ones are of the utmost importance. So, but the key with social, and this is something I struggle with, and we're, as a whole, as an organization within Intrycks and Local SEO Tactics itself, I've hired a social manager that's helping me with social. We were good at it at one time, and we let it go for a while. So now we're getting back into it. But literally, we have somebody that's 40 hours a week. That's all they're doing is social, and it's paying off, and it's effective. You, as a small business owner, unless you can hire somebody to do that, and you probably at that point are a multi-million-dollar organization, which would be great. But if you're under that, you're going to have to do it yourself. And I would say consistency is important. Try to do it anywhere from an hour to 10 hours a month, depending on your organization. So once you start approaching that 10 hours a month, you're going to want to hire somebody at least part-time to take care of that for you, to help you with that. And I just think AI is leaning on this a little bit more heavier than it has in the past. In the past, I don't think it was that big of an issue, but now it's becoming more and more important. And they're looking for validation of that human element. And this is something that you're going to have to work towards or find a solution for your organization in the future. So all that being said, I hope that helps. If you have any questions about this, there's probably more technical detail that I skimmed over. Feel free to call me with any questions or inquire. I'll try to answer directly. If I can't, I'll have one of my team do it. They'll probably have a more thorough answer than I will. But feel free, you can reach out to us on our phone number here that's on our site at Intrycks.com or localseotactics.com, or certainly shoot us an email and we'll get right back to you. Thanks for sticking through this episode. Bye now.